Hey guys, Desolate Magic here, and just wanted to make a video updating you on the state of Standard. I've played like a billion games at X-Mage just to see what people are playing, and X-Mage is interesting because it's like 50% of a deck idea. I don't want to, invest $50 in the deck to test it. I'm just going to test it on X-Mage for free, And then you buy the cards and build it, which is why Wizards probably hasn't shut them down yet. Also, good luck suing somebody in Germany. I mean, X-Mage legitimately encourages people to buy more paper cards. In my experience, that's what it does. For me, it's what I do. Everybody I talk to, that's what they do. And if you're not going to put money into MTGO, you're not going to put money into MTGO. It's not like if X-Mage went away, we'd all switch. I am not buying my deck twice, period. That's all there is to it. So anyway, the other 50% are people who are, I'd say, net deckers, but remember the definition of net decking is copying a top deck from tournament results, or I guess from MTGO stats to an extent. Well, we don't have those because there hasn't been a Pro Tour yet. There's actually a really good reason that they moved the Pro Tour to, I think, 4 weeks after release instead of 2. It's so people have nothing to copy, although people have been copying decks off of, groups, pro players, their social media, forums, whatever. But that's not really net decking, though. I mean, the decks are good, and the best decks tend to float to the top to an extent. But some people just aren't into deck building. They don't enjoy that. They just want to play the game with something that's competitive. So they'll go look at 12 different decks and pick something that looks fun and powerful. I don't have a problem with that. It's not my thing. I think that, every player should be able to build a deck. And if you don't know how to build a deck, you probably don't know how to play a deck all that well. But there are exceptions. It's not a blanket statement. So the other half of people are playing just the same 3 decks. I've seen the same 3 decks over and over and over. And big surprise, one of them is Approach. And it got worse. Every time you release a set, Approach is going to get worse. They are going to have to ban Approach. I do not give a crap what the win percentage of that deck is. It is toxic. People who bring it to F&M drive like 8 other people away. They just stop showing up because they don't want to play against that just time-wasting garbage. And people are just raging in the chat over it on X-Mage. I've talked to so many people that really appreciated my lobby title, which was No Approach BS. And a couple of people snuck it in, and I'm like, turn 3, I know what you're playing. I'm leaving. I just hit concede. You don't get to play Magic with that deck. You know why? Take a guess why. Because I don't get to play Magic if you're playing that deck. It's just control board wipes and intercepting and stall. I hate that deck. It's so not fun. It's not even on the same level as Lantern Control. That deck can go burn in hell, but still, nobody wants to play against it. The only type of people who would play that on X-Mage or bring it to F&M are people who do not care about other people's fun or good times or any kind of fairness or enjoyment of the game. It's just about winning, and that's it. In fact, a lot of people are playing with 2 copies of the spell in their deck instead of 3 and instead of 4. It's the win condition. They don't give a shit if it goes till turn 50. They're going to win in the end because if they booted that out, they get 2 more control spells. That deck needs to go away. And that brings me to my point. I mean, I've seen some really cool stuff, just white good stuff. White Historic, White Saga, Black Saga, Black Green Ramp, Mono Green Ramp. I've seen Green Creature Rush. Winding Constrictor Counter Dump is a thing. That deck is really good. Do not underestimate that. People are still dumping in that with Verdurous, with Explorer, and then they added like Steel Leaf, and that's a damn good deck. I was shocked at the sheer power. People are doing degenerate artifact dump crap with Karn, where it's all in and they just mulligan until they get Karn, and then when they get to 3, they forfeit. Real friendly deck. Very not janky at all. But like I've just seen the creativity, the options, the different things you can take. I've seen energy. People are still playing like energy mixes, but with Dominaria. I mean, it's crazy. Like people are coming up with the most creative, amazing stuff. And a lot of it I'm losing to because I'm coming up with some creative crap that either works or doesn't. I'm just trying to tune the decks, and I'm not just on X-Mage to just win every single game. I don't even play ranked matches. I'm there to just test the deck out. Honestly, to test it out, I'd probably be better off testing it against the AI, where I could play 20 games in like 20 minutes, like no joke. But, that would only test my deck. Not if my deck can win, it would just test my deck. Is this working? Is this not? Does this card come up? Does it do what it needs to do often enough? Can I pair up these cards often enough? And just in a vacuum, does my deck work? And that's usually how I tune it. But I thought, I want to see what people are building because I missed like 4 F&Ms in a row because I was working. So I don't even know what people are playing lately. I didn't even look at the last Pro Tour, the last GPs, none of that. MTGO stats, I've been ignoring them. I have absolutely no idea what people are playing, but now I do. I played like at least like 30, 40 games on X Mage the last couple days, and I'm seeing what people are playing. You know, the top decks that everybody's copying, one or two of which will probably be at the Pro Tour, and then the rest of what people are coming up with, and it looks fantastic with the exception of a couple toxic unbeatable decks. And I know how many subs I have. I know how many views I'm going to get. I'm not even going to say what the other two are because I don't want people going, oh, cool, let me look into that. Oh, Des hates this deck because it's overpowered and it's beating everything and it's dominating online. I better build that and bring it to F&M. No, screw you. Come up with your own damn ideas. Stop net decking. But one of them is Approach and the other two are almost as bad. And honestly, the Winding Constrictor deck is borderline. That if they go first, they are going to win. There is almost nothing you can do other than build a perfect, flawless antidote deck to stop that and nothing but it. Or some kind of like weird like Turbo Fog or like, I don't know, some kind of like Archangel of Tides 2.0 thing. Maybe like a Combat Tricks and all First Strike deck. You know, something real exotic would stop that deck. But either that or like, you know, 20 removal and 20 black creatures or something, you know. But the other two decks, they're just out of control. There's nothing you can do to stop them. They're covering their butts perfectly. I would deem them virtually unbeatable, and Approach is virtually unbeatable. Now, it's not true in a practical sense. You just run Dispossess and get rid of the card, and then they just forfeit, hopefully. Now, back in reality, they win the first game, you sideboard in Dispossess and a couple others, you know, Gideons, whatever, you know, a bunch of name jamming, bunch of shutdown, maybe put in some negates so you can stop it. Whatever you want to do, well, great. They'll just run their deck out to the last card. I mean, that's what they'll do. They'll just go to the 50-minute time limit. Oh, look, 1 win, 1 tie. They get 3 points, the end. That deck needs to get banned. But honestly, there's quite a few other cards that absolutely need to get banned. They were a mistake. Couple of them are from Dominaria. I see people playing them, and it's as bad or worse than people thought it would be. I mean, I'm not even talking about like Forebear's Blade. That card is bonkers. It's $1 right now. It's probably going to hit 5 to 10. I mean, that card, Vigilance and Trample and +3, and then when you get it killed, it moves to the next creature automatically. You could throw that in tokens, mid-range, giant creatures, anything, and all flyers that you could literally throw that into anything of any color that uses any amount of creatures and win the game, because you'll just swing away with a trample creature that's guaranteed to be bare minimum 3 attack, usually more, every single time. I mean, but still, I mean, you could probably just exile the creature with Seal Away. Cool. And then the blade goes nowhere. They have to pay 3 to re-equip it, which honestly usually is not the end of the world, but maybe they'll run out of creatures at some point. You just drop a Fumigate and you win. I mean, it's not like you can't play around it, but there's cards even worse than that. There's deck strategies even worse than that, where people are just looping this stuff. They're winning on like turn 4. It's just so bad. And so, you know, what are they going to do? Well, duh, they're going to ban a bunch of shit. I mean, duh. But what really caused this? Was it pushing the boundaries, as they always say? This is their excuse. They've stated it multiple times. I literally found an article from 2012 where they said the same thing, and they said this in 2017 as well. I do believe they said it in 2018. They said, why do we end up banning cards? Well, it's because we printed overpowered cards. Why do we print overpowered cards? Why do we push the limits so hard? Because we want the game to be fun and interesting. We could just print a bunch of low-level, blah, 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 low-power crap. You know, we could do that, but the game would be boring, the decks would be boring. That's their excuse. I completely disagree, but to an extent, they are correct. A portion of what they're saying is correct. I do believe that you can do it without just, well, look at this atrocity. I mean, what the hell even is this card? Like, where they clearly went too far. And it results in a ban, and everybody gets pissed because then their deck gets shut down, and everybody loses money, and it's not good. So what they need to do is prevent it in the first place. So stop printing overpowered cards, right? I would agree with that, but it's part of the solution. It's not even 100% of the solution, not by a long shot. I'd say maybe that's 10% of the solution is don't print broken cards in the first place. But you might think, yeah, but okay, 10%. Let's pretend they did it. They didn't print any broken unfair cards. Problem solved. So how is that 10% of the solution? Because the other 90% is, why the hell didn't 2 sets cycle out? Everything goes back to that. Remember when there were 5 sets legal and people could play whatever they want, and you could go with like a little sub deck that's pretty good and still have a pretty good chance of winning with it? You know, it wasn't just people running away with the same 1 or 2 or 3 decks. It's like people were building zombies, then they were building this, and they were building that, and they were going for, you know, Embalm, and like it was fun. It was interesting. It was different, and your options were kind of limited, but not really. Like you would think, oh, the more cards in standard, the more options you have. That is true unless you want to win with the deck. People don't believe the math on this, which I'm sure this will help if you don't grasp the math on this, but it's not hypergeometric distribution. It's like factorial. It's how many combinations are there. If you add more cards, you will get more powerful decks. Now you get more deck options, but you'll get more powerful decks. So look at Modern. You could build a deck that would just crush in Standard. Really, really good, highly competitive, and you will get obliterated by one of the top 5 decks in Modern. You don't stand a chance in hell. And it's because a pool of, 10,000 cards probably, give or take, are legal in Modern. And so that comes together where the top of the top is so high up in the power level and so outrageously unbeatable that it just snuffs out all creativity. Now, in the last year to year and a half, that hasn't been true. Modern has been changing like crazy because Aether Revolt started it, and they dropped so many crazy Modern cards. Even Hour of Devastation dropped in a ton of crazy Modern cards, and people have been doing new stuff with it. So, okay, cool, but let's just go a little tiny bit before that. Modern was a joke. It was like the same 5 decks, maybe 6, depending upon your opinion of what's good. And that's all people would play. I mean, Affinity and, all the other classics. Jund and, ooh, there's that deck again. There's that deck again. Woo, how exciting. And like I said, yeah, you could be more creative. You have more card combinations, more options, more mechanics. You could come up with one of a million different decks, and none of them will win because the top end is just crushing everything. That's why I told people the way to really fix Modern is take the entire Tier 1 and ban every single one of them. I'm sure that wouldn't piss people off and lose people like millions of dollars collectively. It's not a real solution. I'm just saying that is the solution. Like, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't recommend they do it, but that is the solution. If they banned all the Tier 1 decks across the board, and let's pretend that they still have a customer left at that point, the number of Tier 2 decks that are highly competitive is like 30 plus. I mean, Modern would be so fun and so dynamic. People could just build anything, and the creativity would be great. It would be a great format. I mean, you look at the Modern GPs, a different deck would win every time. I mean, people could come up with some crazy stuff. It'd be fun to watch. You wouldn't really know what they're playing, and your opponents wouldn't know what you're playing, and just it would add a dynamic to it, and it would slow it down a little bit. That is the solution. But like I said, I cannot reiterate this enough. Don't actually do that, Wizards. That would be a disastrous decision. You dug yourself into this hole by not banning the cards in the first place and by printing some of these cards in the first place, like in Snaring Bridge. Now you're stuck. You can't just tell people, hey, your $2,000 deck, worthless, and that one, worthless, that one, worthless. There, I just lost you guys a couple $1,000. Come back and play Modern. No. But regardless of the practicality, that is the solution to Modern's problems right now. So let's take a look at Standard. Okay, there's significantly less cards legal in Standard compared to Modern, so you get less options, but you get more options because there's not this horrifically just impossible to play against Tier 1. There's not these just god decks that beat everything in their way. So you actually get more options because the power level is lower on average. So unless you build some just potato non-working far-fetched crap deck, you're going to have a chance. Like you can express your creativity, build something good, you know what you're doing, and you come together with this awesome deck, and then you can actually play with it and actually win with it. That is not how I would describe if your opponent is playing Approach of the Second Sun or the other 2 decks that I deem just ban bait. They have to be banned. There's no other ways about it. So that's, those are the 2 solutions, is when you get too many cards that are legal, if you still want the format to be fun and for people to have options to not devolve into just like 2 decks beating each other and nothing but mirror matches on the top so nobody's having fun, you're going to have to ban stuff. And clearly Wizards realize this because remember, they banned 5 cards from Standard already. It might even be 6 at this point. I lost count. Just like recently before the cycle and all that, they had to ban card after card after card after card because it was getting out of control. And remember, they haven't banned anything in Standard for like, 4 or 5 years at least? I mean, God, what was the last time? I feel like it was like 2011 or something. My God. Well, what a coincidence. This is right when they let 9 sets be legal. And that's the problem. What is wrong with Standard right now is that Kaladesh and Aether Revolt should have cycled out. And this isn't just something I made up. I mean, legitimately, they should have cycled out. They were supposed to cycle out. When Wizards said we're going to 2 sets per block instead of 3, they looked at the release schedule and they said, well, what do we do now? Instead of 3, 6, what would it be? 4, 6? And then cycle back to 4, something like that. Either way, not 9 sets legal at a time, okay? Or if it was, they were so synergistic, like 2 sets in a block actually kind of were the same set, and you didn't really have that various of stuff. So you couldn't really let that many blocks be legal at a time. That was the problem. So they said, because we know the game well enough, we know what will happen if we go 5-9 or 5-8 or whatever the hell the cycle is now. On the low end, it'll be playable, and as soon as we hit like 7-8-9, it'll be a disaster because there will be too many cards and somebody will come up with some degenerate crap. And they did, and there you go. They had to ban card after card after card. Energy dominated for almost a year because there was too many dual lands. That's what it was. There's too many lands, too many options, too much color fixing. That's what the problem was. Let me cite my source on that. They banned a tune. The color fixing was too good because there was too many cards. That's what it was. So we're going to see nothing but ban after ban after ban after ban, and God help us when M19 comes out. It'll be disastrous. Standard will be unplayable even if they ban like 3 cards in the next ban cycle. And I believe that'll be the max. I think the one after that will cycle out a set. I don't know. They've changed it so many damn times. I don't even know what the cycle is. What I do know is there's too many damn sets legal right now, and that's the problem. All 3 of the hyper turbo degenerate decks that I'm seeing right now use cards going all the way back to Kaladesh and Aether Revolt. And that's because there were some powerful cards in that set. So if we would have lost it would have been fine. People would have had to take those decks down a peg or not build them at all, and then the whole tier 2, 50 different decks could shine. So yeah, right now, honestly, Standard's shaping up to be a little bit of a disaster. How bad it will really be, like what decks people really copy and bring to FNM, what really wins the Pro Tour, that is up in the air. But the way it looks like it's heading right now, Standard looks like a train wreck. And it is a real shame because I am looking at such creative, such interesting, such diverse decks on X-Mage, and every one of them is losing to Approach in the other 2 decks. People got these beautiful ideas. Some are expensive, some are cheap. It's just they came up with an idea and they built it, and they get shut down, and it's pissing me off. So, I mean, I just built one deck that's janky. I just wanted to build it. That mechanized one. It's so damn slow. I mean, it's never going to be like tier 1. It's barely tier 2. But the one I just built today, that is like crushing. Like, it is oppressive. And it uses cards from every set. So, I mean, I'm part of the problem. But it still loses to, I mean, everything loses to Approach. Like, whatever you do, a spell, a creature, a permanent, a saga, it's gone. They will delete it. There's like 30 control spells in that damn deck. It doesn't matter what you're playing. They'll shut it down. They'll undo it. But the same with the other ones. They'll just win before you can get anything off the ground. They're just too damn fast. So that's a shame. They're honestly going to have to probably ban all 3 decks. At least 2 of them. Bare freaking minimum Approach, the card itself. But it's going to get worse, and it's going to keep happening. I mean, and you put the stress on the playtesters, and of course they're going to miss crap like, well, I'd say Approach, but I mean, how do you not know that people are going to just do Approach and then the entire rest of the deck is control spells? How did you not think people would do that? Of course people would do that. But the playtesters would have to play with, okay, let's design a new card. Is it fair? I don't know. Compare it to the other 7 or 8 sets that are legal and all the cards in the rest of the set. Are you kidding me? That is a ridiculous burden. I mean, that's how stuff like Felidar gets missed. So eventually they're going to have to just piss the people off and say we're doing instead of a 4 cycle once a year, a 2 cycle twice a year. They're just going to have to do it. They're going to have to do it. There's no, maybe there's a way around it. Maybe they can just be really, really diligent about not printing overpowered cards. Maybe they can just do self-contained mechanics that only work in the block they're in. Yeah, because that works so well. That always results in good sales. If the mechanic is bad, the set doesn't sell in the first place. If the mechanic is good and it's the best in Standard, the sets after it don't sell. It doesn't work. You need the cards to work with each other. So that's not a solution either. The only solution is give us less cards to play with. And people were whining and complaining, my lands though. You're making me rebuild my deck more often. Yeah, every time a set comes out, 4 times a year, Princess, you got to rebuild your deck. Okay, I don't know if that's news to you. Usually the Standard meta changes drastically when one single set comes out. Okay, so you got to rebuild your deck or at least modify it. Okay, that ain't news. I get what people are saying. Lands are expensive. Having to buy dual lands all the time sucks, but it is what it is. And honestly, a lot of the dual lands lately have been $3. So I think they're thinking back to fetch lands and thinking, $300 for a mana base. Yeah, that's never going to happen again. And I don't think that there's literally the ideas left for lands that would cost above $8. They don't exist, and they're never going to do fetch lands in Standard again. That was a disaster. Nobody could afford to play it. I mean, they'd have to maybe put it into Standard after reprinting them back-to-back into Master sets so that they are like $5. Other than that, good luck. So, oh no, you lose your $12 mana base. Like, get over it. So, oh no, your little $3 lands, you can use them for 6 months less. You can only use them for 18 months instead of 24 or whatever it is. Oh no, what do you get in return though? A playable Standard where you can actually build something and play with it, not get stomped by the same stupid deck over and over and over. You're not willing to trade $12 for that? Are you kidding me? A set of 4 lands worth $3? Are you kidding me? Just shut the hell up, you entitled net decking douchebags who whined and whined and whined on the forums until Wizards caved. Those people should be ashamed of themselves, and look where we're at. But they don't care. They'll drop $500 on a deck, complain about the price, and then complain about the mirror matches. Like, they're so out of touch with how Magic actually works, and they're so addicted to just net decking because they think it's the only way to play the game, that they just ruin everything for everyone. If they would have just shut the hell up for a second and let Wizards hear from the real players that are like, yeah, we don't want Ugin and Thoughtseize to be legal for an extra 6 months. Screw it. I don't care if I have to lose some dual lands. Who cares? They're going to have to do it, and I don't think it's even a hard decision at this point because people weren't, completely wrong. If you make their cards legal for less time, people will theoretically have to buy more cards, but the trade-off is well worth it. So maybe theoretically Wizards will make more money and the game will be playable and R&D will have an easier job. I mean, there's no downside. They are going to have to do this. I would even go as far as to say they are going to do this. So Dominaria is the 7th set to be legal and it's getting really bad. Really, really, really bad. M19 is going to make it worse, and we're not going to see anything better until they ban like 5 or 6 cards, probably after M19 comes out. We don't even know what's in it. Although one card allegedly just leaked today from M19. No, I'm not kidding. In my opinion, it's fake, but, on the other hand, there's Wizards' track record. So that's a 50-50. But either way, I'm sure they're going to miss something where Kaladesh works with M19 and whoops, and then there's some broken deck, and then they're even going to have to ban it or they'll lose customers for 6 months until it cycles out, or 3 months. And we can't keep doing this. We cannot keep letting there be 8 or 9 or whatever the hell sets legal at a time. We can't do that. We need less sets to be legal. That is the solution. So hopefully you guys get where I'm coming from. You get the exact examples. You learn from what Wizards has done, what they've had to do about the situation, what caused the situation. I mean, I couldn't cite more sources and more real-world examples if I tried. Do I need to graph this at this point? I will show the probability on a spreadsheet, and nobody will watch that video, so just take my word for it. So that's the real peachy, sunny outlook we got for Standard right now. I guess we'll see how it works, but if you want to cling to the silver lining of if the people at your personal FNM where you play are not douchebags, you've got all kinds of fun options. I mean, there's all kinds of cards you can put together, so yay. But if it's full of net deck and douchebags who only play overpowered crap and don't care about anybody having a chance at winning or having any kind of fun, you're in trouble. But hey, there's recourse. I mean, you're not going to the, Pro Tour complaining about, people running top decks. That's kind of the point. There's money on the line. You can, though, go to your local gaming store and say, hey, me and all my friends are pissed. We're going to stop showing up if you don't tell this person, and this person, these couple people causing problems, bringing these overpowered shit decks, like approach. If you don't tell them to stop playing the deck or stop showing up, we'll stop playing and we'll stop showing up, and we're more people and we spend more money. Simple as that, and they're gone. It's that simple. That's the solution at the local level. So this doesn't really affect you because you have an out, and that should work unless the owner's an idiot or a douchebag who likes to side with those people and they're all buddy-buddy, or the judge is the one doing it, or, all these fun situations. But then it's a toxic LGS, go find another one or just play kitchen table. And remember, at kitchen table, you can cycle out Kaladesh and Aether Revolt whenever the hell you want. So how's that for an upside to end the video on? So leave a comment down below with any other examples of decks that you can't stand and cards that you want banned, because let's just have a support group about that. And I'll see you guys next video.